Hey, everybody. Here we are with Kimberly and Trevor Hurd from Coat of Arms Wood Care Professionals. Good morning. How are you guys?
Good morning, Paul. We're great. Thanks.
Good morning.
Good. Thanks. Hey, listen, thanks for hopping on. I know this is sometimes last minute and, you're wondering, well, what are we going to do? What kind of questions? We're just here to talk about your business. This is going to be posted in Support Local Business in Northern Ontario. These are changing and challenging times. So anything we can do to kind of get your message out there, get your service out there, that's what we're here for. So Coat of Arms Wood Care Professionals, tell us a little bit about what this business is all about.
It's more of a beautification business, Paul. We restore log homes, cedar homes, barns, decks, fences, you name it.
Nice.
We make them look pretty again.
Good. That's awesome.
As opposed to being all gray and black and that.
Yeah. So the sun wears the wood. You guys come in behind it. And what does your process look like? How do you beautify that?
We would either use pressure washers or we do corn cob blasting.
Okay.
Which is like sand blasting, except we use corn cob.
Why?
It's got a cutting edge on it, and it's oops, sorry. It's typically it's like sand, like if you watch like sand blasting and that.
Yeah.
It comes through a hopper under pressure, and can you excuse me for just a sec?
Yeah, go ahead. And it's also more environmentally friendly as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The product that we use, we lay down a whole bunch of tarps, so you're not left with all this material left over, and we do a full cleanup of the job site when we're done. But anything that ends up on your plants or in your grass or on your driveway, it's fully biodegradable, and
right.
It's not harmful to animals or anything. So it's great, and it's almost like instead of using the oscillating hand sanders,
right?
A lot of people do that. It's like pushing it through a pressure washer, but with air. It's not water. It's all grit and everything.
Yeah. So. Okay. I've pressure washed, my deck several times, and it does a much better job pressure washing than it does any other method. So, okay. So it's not. Is it just full homes, or is it cabins? Is it like what types of products are you guys doing this process to?
So for the cob blasting, it's generally on log homes or wood-sided homes. We have done furniture with it, okay. Like when you see the old handmade rockers or the porch chairs that are hanging from the
gotcha. Yeah.
Chains, we can use the same process. You can cob blast it. Like if we're already there doing it, we generally try and pick a little side project to do as well.
Nice.
So one of the places that we cob blasted was we work with a lot of generational homes. So it's grandma and grandpa who originally purchased it, and it's been passed down to mom and dad. And then so sometimes throughout that process, the maintenance hasn't been maintained on it. So you get 20, 30 years worth of weathering and animal feces and bats and raccoons and stuff like that. So you want to clean up that stuff off of, and it's amazing some of the stuff that we've been able to just transform. It's like night and day. It's just taking a facelift off the top end and turning it brand new. You get fresh wood, so you get the full life of the stain when you get to bring it down to the bare wood. Right. So you're not just layering it on decades of product, then you're not going to get the adhesion that you want. Right. And then your product, you're redoing it every 2 years, and you shouldn't have to. You should be able to, take on a big project
Yeah, it's
that sat for 20 or 30 years and be able to get a good 5, 7, almost 10 years out of the project before you have to recode.
gotcha.
So, yeah.
So it's about bringing the wood back to the natural state, and then you guys spray the stain back on. Is that how it's done, or is it hand painted? How does?
Some people have used stain like sprayers, and you can use it as long as you back brush, but we found it's you get the most out of the product when you put it on with a brush.
Wow.
Old school, just it's labor intensive, but it does what it's supposed to, and you get your value out of it versus, because when you spray it on, it doesn't necessarily penetrate the wood the way it's supposed to get your full life out of the product. And that's at the end of the day, if you're going to hire us to come in and spend all this money on labor, you're going to want that product to have its full life value, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're a seasonal business, clearly.
No, actually, we run full year. So on the exteriors, we are seasonal. Obviously, we can't put stain on in January. It just doesn't work.
Right.
It's like trying to put tar on without any heat. It just doesn't work. But we do interiors as well. So log homes that have sat there for a while, either if they don't have the right moisture content, then you get big checks in the logs. And if you have that, then you're losing your heat value. Log homes always have like a super great heating, cooling system in themselves, because they're logs, they breathe, right? And if they're not maintained properly, then you lose that R value on the log home.
Gotcha. So what areas are you servicing? Is it Northern Ontario? It's like, how far will you guys go from your location?
We're pretty portable.
Okay.
We go where the work goes. So traditionally we've been Northern Ontario. We've had a lot of success to the west. So Blind River, Sault Ste. Marie, Eco Bay area. I've got family down that way. So it's helpful. A lot of cottagers, a lot of US citizens who have log homes up here, who just didn't know who to turn to. We're on a few of the referral sites for products. So the Permachink Lifeline brand that we use frequently, we're on their site. And with the Canadian Log Home Supply out of Eganville, where we get most of our product from, we're with them as well. So anybody who's looking to the source, or think that they want to do DIY and then find out how much work it actually is, and then go, oh, we're in over our heads kind of thing.
Sure.
But
so would you do more cob blasting than sand blasting? Is it about even split? And then why would you do cob versus sand?
So we don't do sand at all. Sand is too abrasive, and it actually cuts into the wood a lot. It just doesn't. Go ahead, Trev.
It's a lot more aggressive, Paul.
Okay.
Corn cob is a lot softer. It has a cutting edge on it, but it doesn't actually tear the wood like sand would.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. That makes sense. So you're not tearing the wood, and you're not breaking the wood down. You're just cleaning the wood at a lot gentler level.
If you got it, just the surface. I mean, air pressure has a lot to do with it too. If your air pressure is really high, it's going to cut a lot more aggressively.
Right.
So typically we would start out at low numbers and work our way up until it actually does the job that we need it to do.
Right. Yeah, I can see a lot of cottagers using this process, right? I mean, they want to enjoy their cottage. The last thing they want to do is that. So Trevor, tell me it's not just you that does this. You have a team that when you hit a property, there's a bunch of you.
Yeah. There's we've on average we've got 2 to 3 guys. I mean, the bigger the job, the more people we have.
Right. Typically, if I'm looking at your Facebook page and I see an after picture which looks gorgeous, how long would that have taken to do?
Depending on the size of the home and that, but it could be anywhere from a week to 3 weeks to a month.
Wow, that's awesome. I love it. I love it. I don't know if you
Yes.
guys know the Facebook page I'm talking about, but it looks beautiful. It's got the wraparound balcony. It's dark.
That was one of the
That's beautiful.
yeah, that was a client that was out of the States who's a generational, again, his grandparents or his
Right.
parents rather had the original cabin, and he took the original cabin and put it on top of a garage and then built that that log home for himself.
Nice.
And then it sat. Like, that's what happens, is that same with a lot of things. We don't maintain it, right? It just sits because it looks good and we don't really have to do anything with it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So it's
that a lot of people don't know locally about us.
right.
We get into seeing somebody or after they've hired somebody else from out of town and then realize, oh, you guys are here. I need, an update on what's going on my logs and stuff like that. And then find out, oh, we could have saved ourselves thousands because we could have hired locally instead of somebody from out of town. So yeah.
That's awesome. And COVID, we're in COVID, we're locked down. How is that affecting you guys at this point? You're probably not an essential service.
We're on the borderline of the essential, because if you're not maintaining your property, or then if you get water damage, then there's insurance and whatever. So we kind of fall in the construction.
Gotcha.
But we found a lot of people are very
They don't want you in their house.
No, they don't want you in your house. They don't want you in their town. Right. So traditionally we would go on a little trip, a family trip, and then we'd, plunk in a cabin or a hotel or something, and then do our little drive arounds and pop flyers in mailboxes. And that's just not acceptable right now. You just don't want to go into somebody else's community physically. So we're trying to do the flip. We're trying to get all digital, and we're a little bit old school. We like the face-to-face, the coffee dates, hey, this is Joe from the hardware store recommended you and stuff. We've done a lot of word of mouth. So to get on to the digital age, to be able to have virtual conversations like this, or say, hey, we're in this area. Right now, we're dealing with that with a lot of our US clients because they're stuck. They can't come up to their properties. So traditionally, where they would have come up for Christmas or come up for their Thanksgiving to have a big family at the cottage in Canada, they can't. So they rely on us to be able to go up to the cottage and say, hey, no, everything's good, and we'll check in next year or check in the spring. Or so we're available to do that. We're trying to push our seasonal maintenance so that you're on a list and you get a call every spring and say, hey, you're looking at this for this year. So yearly maintenance is a big thing with your log homes. You get bugs and woodpeckers and whatnot. And if you're not maintaining that, then it can, in the long term, it can cost you a lot of money. But in the short term, if you just like your car.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So really, anybody that has a anybody that has a like a wood frame, a wood home, getting it on a maintenance program seasonally can save them dollars down the road. So
absolutely,
great idea.
Thousands. Like it's night and day. It's the difference of maintaining your oil in your car, and you get the long-term effects of it. It's the same thing with your logs or your cedar siding or your fence or your deck or your dock or your boathouse, like all of those things. If you're doing, and we find that a lot of people don't do the planning for it. They kind of wait until the sunny days and like, oh, we should really do this, or we should hire somebody. It's like, well, in the summertime, you have optimal days and then you have rain days. Right. And that takes out half of your summer. And a lot of people don't factor that in or don't consider that until they're in it. So it happens that you say you have 4 months of weather to be able, you actually have 2.
Yeah, for sure.
Weather days, rain days and such.
So how long have you guys been in business for?
7 years.
This will be our 8th season.
This will be our 8th season.
Good for you guys.
So he was a couple years on his own before we met, and then I got my nose into everything, and
Awesome.
so it's been 5 years that I've been involved, and he was doing it on his own before that. So
awesome. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for hopping on. Again, we're going to push this out to a bunch of different places and hopefully just get more awareness on, what's available for people with these types of products, that you guys are there to service it and make it last for many, many generations to come. So thank you so much for popping on. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again.
Thank you so much for having us, Paul. It's greatly appreciated.
No problem. Thanks. Nice meeting you, Trevor.
Well, Paul, take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.